What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about the roof racks that I purchased. For those of you who don't know, I drive a full-size Overland, and if you're like me, you kind of struggle to find things that actually fit your vehicle, because most things for overlanding are built for the smaller size trucks, 4Runners, Tacomas, things of that nature. And I really struggled to find a roof rack that fit my 2020 GMC 2500. I found a couple, most of them being upwards of $1,500, and they looked really nice, and they would have met all the things that I was wanting, but I just couldn't swallow the fact of spending $1,500 on a roof rack. And with those roof racks that I was finding, they all wanted, or for the install, you had to drill into your roof, and I wasn't a big fan of that either. So instead of purchasing it, I did a little more research, and I happened to find one that is getting me pretty much almost all of what I wanted. But the biggest thing for me was I didn't have to drill into my roof. This one has a clamp system, if you can see on those ends, to where it sits on your front and rear doors, and you're able to clamp it into your vehicle without having to drill. It also has little pads underneath to prevent scratching up the paint on your vehicle. This one I paid $330 for on Amazon. The brand is through Topline. And let me start out, I'm not sponsored by anybody that I'm going to be talking about in this video. This is just, for your information kind of thing. So again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't get kickback from anybody for supporting their brands. These are just things that were my preference, and if you're like me and you don't want to spend $1,500 on a roof rack, but you still want one, there are more affordable options. With that being said, I spent $330 on this. Currently, there's a 5% coupon on Amazon for this roof rack, so I'm not sure what the price would be. I'm not going to do the math. But there are things about this roof rack that I wasn't super stoked about, things that I would change personally, but I'm still only in about $550 in total for this roof rack. So the biggest thing that I wasn't a fan of is the crossbars. The crossbars that come with this rack are round holes, essentially. And I had it on my vehicle, everything was great, but these are a little flimsy and they rattle. And that was pretty annoying when you're driving down the highway, when these are rattling and just they're louder than the music in your vehicle. Like, it was very, very frustrating. So that was one of the reasons I wanted to swap these out. The other reason was because they're so flimsy and rattled, that didn't give me a lot of faith in the support that they would provide for mounting things on my rooftop. So I am kind of a bigger fan of T-slot rail, and so that's what I decided to replace these with. And I happened to find a company called T-Nuts. Again, I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get anything from them for promoting their company, but I will say that it was a very easy process to order exactly what I needed. If you go onto their website, you're able to put in the full length as well as the fractional length that you'll need these cut at, and then you can even put in there to have it milled for whatever screws that you want to use. You can even put top holes, so when you go to put your T-slot nuts in, there's already a hole that you can just drop them in and slide it to the position you want, and then secure everything. I should have done that. I didn't, but I did get the ends milled for the screws, However, I should have done a little more research as far on my end for the screws that I wanted them milled at. I requested on my order that they were milled for an M6 by, I want to say it was M6 by 1. And what I should have done is found out which screws were already here and used those and had the T-slot milled for that. So that would be my first recommendation, is don't make the same mistake that I did. Make sure that if you order this rack and you want to swap the bars out for T-slot, that you figure out what these bolts are. And before I post this video, I'll figure out what they are, and I'll put them up here so you can know exactly which ones to order if you decide to go with this. But because of that, I had to go and buy new screws, or bolts rather, that were milled for the M6 by 1. So I've already installed 2 on here just so I can keep the frame supported, but I was going to go through the process of swapping these out. The other great thing that I loved about the T-nuts is I got the 2x1 black coated excursion T-rail, and the great thing that just happened to work out for me is the holes that are already pre-drilled in this rack line up exactly with the dimensions of the T-slot that I ordered. So I didn't have to do any additional drilling. I was able to pull these bars off and put the T-slot rail exactly where it needed to go. The other cool thing about this rack is it does give you 2 options for height for where you want your rails to go. So you can have them low, which is going to obviously be closer to your roof, or you can have them up higher. I guess it would just depend on what it is that you're going to want in here and the support. The other thing that I did have to, well, I guess I didn't have to, but wanted to change was the wind fairing on the front. It doesn't, let me backtrack. So on my truck, on the front of it, I do have the antenna and I have cab lights on the front of my truck. And where this sits on your vehicle, it does sit over the face of your cab lights and the antenna, and that's fine. It doesn't have any issues, but it does create a small vibration between the wind fairing and the lights. It was hitting that as well. So what I'm also doing with this is I'm going to swap out the I guess front gasket. I'll just show you. So I took the wind fairing off, but it had this on here to protect the paint on your vehicle, and it wasn't completely meeting up with the rest of the vehicle. So I think it was allowing the wind to get up underneath it to cause it to vibrate as well. So I am swapping this out with a different one. That way it sits more snug up against my vehicle. And I'm also going to put a piece of foam that's got some adhesion. I'm going to put that on the back so it's in between the wind fairing here and my lights, so it doesn't have that vibration when I'm going down the road. So again, this is all very minimal things that I had to swap out to make this $330 rack work for me instead of spending $1,500 for a rack. Granted, the other ones, they looked great, and I probably wouldn't have had to swap anything out, and they were designed to cut around the antenna and my cab lights. But again, I didn't want to spend $1,500, and I'm the kind of person that if I can find it for cheaper and make it work, and if I have to do a little customization, then that's what I'm going to do, because in the end, I'm still going to save money. And if you're like me, you kind of like to keep what's in your pocket for other things. So that's what I decided to do. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start swapping out these round bars that are in here and start putting in the T-slot, and I'll get some close-ups of you guys. I will put the links for the rack in the description. Again, the rack is from the brand Topline. It's on Amazon for $330 with a 5% coupon currently. And then the excursion T-slot rail that I got was from T-Nuts, N-U-T-Z, I believe. And again, I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get any kickback from them. This is just for your information. So if you decide to buy this rail or this roof rack, you'll know what you're getting yourself into. Again, this fits Chevys and GMCs from the years 20 to 23 and 1500 and 2500. And I will tell you that it does fit really well up on the roof. If I didn't have the antenna or the cab lights up on top, or running lights, I wouldn't have had any issues with this wind carrying, but that's how my truck is designed specifically. So you may or may not run into that issue depending on what you have up on your roof. If you do have the antenna that's on the rear sensor above your rear brake light up on the cab, this does sit high enough that it will not touch it, and you will have plenty of clearance to avoid it hitting up against it or vibrating or whatever. Yeah. And the other cool thing is that I was able to install this by myself. It's pretty lightweight, but actually really durable. So if you're like me and you don't have buddies readily available to come and help you, it is possible to put it up there by yourself and install it. It just takes a little bit more effort on your end. All right, well, we'll get these swapped out. And I didn't order enough T-slot to replace all of them because I didn't feel that it was necessary to have them on every single one. I think I ordered I ordered 6. And I have 11 spots. So I'll be able to spread them out so it's still spaced well. But most of the stuff that I'm going to keep on my roof rack are larger items. So I didn't need it to where they're 5-6 inches apart. I'm able to have a little bit wider of a spread. So you don't have to replace all 11 of them if you don't want to, but you can as well. For the excursion T-rail, I forgot to mention, in total with shipping, I paid $250. If you wanted, you could order this and cut it yourself, and if you've got a tap and die set, you can mill it for the bolts that you need. I didn't want to do that because I just wanted it to get here so I can install it, because it's getting into the warmer weather season and I plan on being out a lot, and I didn't want anything to interfere with me getting this done, so I could get out on those dirt roads. The biggest thing that actually surprised me for the cost wise was shipping. I'm in Colorado, and I think this company, I might be wrong, was out of New York. So shipping was probably the most expensive part of this. It cost me, well, not the most expensive, but it was expensive. Was $86 just to have it shipped to my house. So it's really up to you on if you want to spend the time cutting and using the tap and die set to mill them, or you could order and have it all done and ready so you can just install it when you get here or when it comes in. I'm going to go through and start swapping these out. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. If there's anything you want to see more in detail, I'd be happy to share whatever information I can with you guys. All right, I can install the excursion. So again, for the excursion, I ordered the 2-inch by 1-inch, and I had it milled at for M6 by 1, but you can avoid having to go to the hardware store and buy new hardware if you're to order the T-slot milled at what you need. So this is that T-slot, the excursion that I ordered. It's very clean. It's got options so you can put it the T-nuts through the top or the sides, and even the bottom if for whatever reason you needed to. And then the holes for the screws line up perfectly with the rack. And like I said, I already had it milled for the hardware, so that takes all the hard work out of it. I'm going to start these with my fingers, and for me personally, I'm putting these on the bottom just because I want to have that a little more top support as well for the items that I'm putting on here. And I'll probably go through later and just put some blue Loctite on these just so I don't have to worry about them receding while going down some of the dirt roads that I know I'm going to be going on. That is not. I don't know how that one got on there. There we go. Just so you don't have to worry about them coming loose and vibrating out later on down the road. And the nice thing about the blue Loctite is you don't have to heat it up in order to get it to break. You just have to use a little more force to get them to break. If you use the red Loctite, you typically have to heat it up in order to get it to break. The other reason I start these by hand instead of using the drill is I don't want to take the chance of it becoming cross-threaded and ruining the threads that are inside, and then having to go in with a tap and die set to fix it later and then have a completely different bolt in there. So if you start it by hand and then go through either with an Allen head, because that's what these are, is an Allen head, you can go through with a Allen head, or if you got a Allen head bit, you can go through and just snug them up. You don't want to get, too crazy on it. And the hardware I got, I did make sure to get it in black, so it all matches their round heads, so it will still match pretty well with the rest of the hardware that's on this roof rack. Sorry you hear me sniffling a lot. My allergies are acting up. We're coming into spring here, and I live out in the farmlands, and there's a lot of the stuff that triggers my allergies. So I apologize. It's gonna work perfect. So with me ordering 6 and there being 11 slots, I'll be able to go every other one. So it stays uniform across the roof rack. Once I have them all in, it'll be every other one, and you can see here that it's got the bottom and the top options for mounting it. So it just depends on what you prefer. I do have this elevated. I installed this system a couple weeks ago to be able to take my roof rack and my rooftop tent and bed rack out. I do have a video coming out for that as well, for the installation of it, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Would this be easier on a stable platform? Yes, but I want this. I just use this to stay hanging, so I can put it right back up on my truck when I'm ready. But I have some pretty exciting stuff coming that I have to keep everything off my truck, but there'll be more of that to come. Put that straight in there. I did order these to the exact width, and the company did a really good job at getting them exactly what I asked for. So, shout out to T-Nuts for doing a great job. Almost there. Hindsight, I probably should have done this one first. But here we are. You'll learn as you go. Now it's more centered. Yeah, that's a perfect snug fit. And I got one more to install, and then I'll just go through and snug all of them up, and we will be done. So like I said, grand total, I think I'm in this like $580 to get a roof rack on my full-size truck. So for me, it was still a better deal cost-wise than spending over $1,000 for a roof rack. If you guys have any questions, comments, if you'd like to see anything more in depth, let me know. I'd be happy to answer any questions I have. But thanks for watching, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you out there on the trails. If you'd like, you can find me obviously here on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok and on Facebook as well. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and I'll keep producing more content for you guys.